me personally, I'm a very apathetic person. Um, I'm very logical in terms of like information that comes into me, and it's a huge crux of the argument with my family and with my girlfriend. I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm apathetic. I guess I would say I'm more agnostic towards like emotion, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, imagine this, right? Like, if you're a geocentric stationary plane, all right, the Earth, that means that you're a center of everything. And so, if you're the center of everything, then that means that you're obviously this place was created. If this place was created, you have a domain on it. You're inherently special. You're much less malleable that way. Until you're a tiny speck of dust that came out of nothing in an ever-expanding universe, and you're literally insignificant, and pure random happenstance brought you about, it allows it to be a feasible option to adopt a worldview of nihilism or apathy. And when you adopt the worldview of pure nihilism, where nothing matters other than the fact that you'll die one day, do whatever you can in a fleshly mode because nothing's beyond physical life, you're very easily controlled. All you care about is what you can get in this life. And so that you don't care. You just look to whatever they tell you to do because you literally don't care. When you don't know how inherently powerful and special you are, you're easy to control. I think that's the big psychological reason for the lie. Now, are there other reasons? Probably. Maybe they're hiding land, they get money. Maybe they have some future deception like aliens or something in which they need intergalactic travel to be even a possible thing. I don't really know. And that sounds crazy, but look up Bluebeam Operation, Project Bluebeam. But like, that's the biggest motivation for the lie, bro. It's nihilism, bro. And like people think, people believe abiogenesis, right? Like that, like organic life came from inorganic matter. They believe that like rocks made life. They believe that you evolved from monkeys over billions of years, and this is a tiny speck of dust in an ever-expanding universe that's completely insignificant. There's millions of Earths. You're nothing important. You're purely lucky, random happenstance. And without that prerequisite, nihilism isn't really a logical or feasible postulation. The only way that it can even exist is to think that everything happened by random happenstance. So that's one of the biggest things. If you understand how the people that run everything work, like, dude, they're very meticulous and very intelligent. They know how to control people on a massive scale, and the way that you do that is you just get people basically like mind-numb, apathetic zombies.
So the Eurasian principle is that it has similarities to things like nihilism, but largely is that there's chaos, and we only propose order out of that chaos. So, like, we build structures to kind of make order out of chaos, but the chaos is still there. There's always chaos, and that chaos will define us no matter how much we try to organize it. And so the more we try to fight against chaos, the more likely it is that chaos and the principles of chaos will take hold. The more we argue over a certain point of fact or fiction will produce more and more chaos. The only way to exist in harmony is to simply accept that there's just chaos. And we don't know anything. We just exist.
Sure, I feel you. I mean, what's so crazy about it, though, like with that type of idea, it has the illusion of humility, right? Understanding and accepting insignificance, being honest and humble, as opposed to being so arrogant you think you're important. But ironically, it's actually the exact opposite, which is how the elite operate. Everything's inverted because of Luciferian doctrine. Everything is inverted. It's actually quite arrogant to think that you have no moral responsibility or there isn't a linear code of ethics or objective morality. So everything's flipped on its head. But I have to push back. Like, actually, in my opinion, divinity is simplicity, and there's inherently order in all things. Like, I'm sure you're maybe familiar with the Fibonacci sequence or the golden ratio, sacred geometry. That's found in everything, right? And like in the smallest to the biggest scale, and that's inherent order. So there's actually inherent order in all things. We bring about a chaotic interpretation, or more so, application to life. But like, actually, if you think about it, certainly if you get to the realization that the Earth's a geocentric stationary plane, like, I mean, dude, the sky's a clock. It's beautiful. It resets annually over top of us for all of recordable history, which is actually an impossibility with 6 different vectors. And so you realize the sky, dude, it revolves over top of us. We're the center of everything. Everything's perfect. it basically the Earth's a giant battery, honestly, with like an electromagnetic battery, and so like everything is order. Everything. We have the same like sequence, the same geometry within all organic matter. That's an impossibility with a random, chaotic, implosion of happenstance. It would never happen. And dude, the elite know this. I've read their literature. I don't know if you know Albert Pike is, but one of the most infamous Masons ever. The only guy to have a statue outside in Washington D.C. And he admits that they adhere to planar geometry, meaning they know the Earth's plane, and they know that we're significant. They think that there's a creator, but Lucifer's actually the grand architect. The creator's the evil one. Lucifer wants to tell you all the secrets. And it sounds crazy to some people that aren't maybe metaphysical or spiritual in any way, but that's what the ones that run the world think. And they know that there's an order, there's an importance, but if they can detach you from that, it gives them an advantage, right? Because knowledge is power, but it's significantly more powerful when you're the only one with that knowledge. And so, I think that's the big thing. Like you can't even adopt a worldview of chaos or apathy or nihilism or materialism without this heliocentric religion, where like everything came from nothing, and you're an insignificant speck of dust. And so we try to stay away from the speculative why questions, just generally speaking, if we're ever debating or something, right? Because we try to stay empirical, but it's one of the biggest hiccups people have, and I think it really breaks through to some people. That's what was a big thing for me. It's like, dude, they're playing metaphysical games with us, and they're altering our worldviews, or even what you can possibly logically think is a worldview. Because if the Earth is the center of everything, you can't even think everything's chaotic and random. So like I don't know, and it's definitely worth looking into. And I think that's a big part of what people hate about it, bro. Because, dude, if the Earth is a geocentric stationary plane, that means necessary antecedent to creation as a creator. If there is some type of creator, however you want to express it, doesn't matter. That's a totally different discussion. That brings about accountability, right? Like a moral accountability that people are uncomfortable with, man. It's much easier for that not to be real. So that was a bit of a monologue. And basically what I'm just trying to say is like, they've detached us from realizing the inherent importance that we have. They made us think we're not important, but bro, like we are actually like super, super important. Like objectively, like we have domain over Earth, and Earth is the center of everything. I mean, it's wild how important we are.
It really doesn't matter if it's a globe and all of that is true versus flat and otherwise, because we are all that we know. So we, by default, have to be the most important thing in that context, no matter what that context is, because we know nothing else.
Sure. But would you not agree that there's a difference in if the Earth is the center of everything, so that would mean that the sky is much smaller and more local than we've been told. It's not 1 trillion light years away, which of course you can never substantiate. It's complete nonsense. And it all revolves over top of us. And we, as humans, have domain on Earth. That's a totally different ballgame, right? I agree with you, actually, the logic of what you're saying, where we're all we know. But like, if the Earth is the center of everything, and everything's much smaller and much more local, and the Earth is literally the center of all existence, that's a totally different ball game than being a tiny speck of dust in this ever-expanding universe where you're going 66,600 miles per hour around the sun, going 500,000 miles per hour through the galaxy, going 1.3 million miles per hour through the universe, which is just one of millions or billions of galaxies. It's a totally different thing, just purely like scale of existence. So inherently in that would be, importance proportionately, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that.